I'm Austin.
I'm Diana.
And this is the Husband and Knife Podcast, where every other week we discuss horror classics, new releases, and pretty much whatever we want. This week we are going to be talking about the new movie Pearl.
Please, Lord, make me the biggest star the world has ever known, so that I'll make it far, far away from this place.
Well, caring for your family during these times is admirable. But you only get one take at this life.
If only they would just die.
Pardon?
Nothing.
Alright, so we just got back from seeing this one in theaters, and I have a bunch of things to say about it, but Austin, he is not really feeling it that much, so I'll just let him lead.
Yeah, it was just boring to me personally. It was not my... It's a prequel to X.
Yes.
And I didn't like X. They're not really my style of horror at all, but I gave it a chance and I liked it less.
Yeah, X just came out, I feel like, in March, and because we just watched it over the summer. And so it feels like this one just came out like that. And apparently this one was already in production as X was coming out.
Yeah, I was really confused how they had a prequel ready a couple months after.
Yeah, and it's part of a trilogy apparently, and the next one is going to be about Maxine, who Mia Goth also plays, the girl from X.
Yeah.
So
that confused me too about this movie. I was like, wait, if this is about the grandma, why
Well, because in X they bared a really close resemblance to each other.
I didn't notice that.
Well, in X, there was a scene where, Maxine was, doing her thing for the shoot, and Pearl, the grandma, she's not a grandma, but Pearl, takes a look at her and, looks at her really, really long because she sees herself in her, because they look alike. And this movie affirms that they look very much alike.
It confused me at first, because I was like, what, yeah, so...
Well, we didn't really give X the viewing it deserves, because we watched it, super tired in the middle of the night, and then we didn't even finish it because we were so tired. And in the morning, we finished it, and we actually, left off... We missed a whole part of it. And so
yeah, I think
it was a really disjointed viewing, and we didn't really give it the viewing it deserves.
Yeah, but I wasn't enjoying it too much before.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, even after, it wasn't a movie that I kind of know after watching a horror movie, especially if I really like it, that I'll really want to watch it again. Like with Barbarian, I really loved it, and I wanted to watch it again. And with X and even Pearl, I was like, I could go a while without seeing it. It doesn't have... I didn't really love it. I didn't fall in love with it.
Yeah.
But was there anything specific about Pearl that you didn't like? Other than it just bored you?
It was really just I was not interested in anything that was going on in the movie.
What do you mean, character-wise?
I didn't care about Pearl. The character I cared about the most was the movie theater guy.
Was the projectionist?
Yeah, just because I felt bad for him.
Why did you feel bad for him?
Because he got killed.
Yes. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that was really... yeah, it was really just... It just was not my cup of tea.
Was there anything that you liked about it?
I mean, I thought the acting was great.
Yeah.
But it just was yeah, this is good. It's just fallen flat to me.
Whose performance did you like the most?
I guess Pearl's.
The main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mia Goth did a really good job in this one. I hadn't seen her in anything before I watched X, but I knew of her because she was Shia LaBeouf's... I don't know if they were husband and wife. Oh, were they husband and wife? She was Shia LaBeouf's thing for a really long time, and that's how I knew of her. But this is the first time I ever watched her act, and she was pretty good. Yes. So she's a highlight of the movie.
I liked the alligator.
The alligator was cool.
I liked the cow.
So this for you was just an animal movie.
I liked the animals.
Well, that's good.
And I liked how they had names.
Yeah, they were all named after actors and actresses or characters that Pearl liked.
From the pictures.
Yes. Yes.
It was in 1918, and they called it The Pictures.
Yeah, so do you have any other thoughts before we get into the movie?
No.
All right. So we'll kick it off. It's in 1918, and we're introduced to Pearl, who was the elderly character in X, and she's, I don't know if she's 18 or 19, but she's on the young side. She seems really young and naive.
At one point they say they're looking for someone younger. So she's got, I'm saying she's at least 20, 21.
Okay.
Just because, at that time. It was for like the church group. I don't know what they mean, how much younger they would want. But she wasn't much past her early 20s if she was older.
So she's a young girl, and she's living with her parents in their Texas farm while her husband Howard is serving in World War I. So her parents are from Germany, and they speak a lot of German in this movie, which I thought was really interesting. So this is also the time, not only is it World War I, but it's also the time of the Spanish flu.
Yeah, it was the Spanish flu.
So there's a lot of like masks in this, and talks of the germs, and a lot of stuff that's like pretty interesting when you look at how we're living in the world today.
Yeah, and her dad had it seems like he had complications of it because he's wheelchair bound.
Yes.
Can't speak, can't move. I'm guessing like paralyzed.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, you can just hear him like shakingly breathe.
Yeah, he's not doing too well. And so Pearl and her mom's name is Ruth, they both take care of, the dad, and they also take care of the farm, and they just, every single day it's the same stuff of Pearl taking care of the animals, mom churning the butter or whatever, and they have dinner every night, and it's all the same stuff. So, the whole time, Pearl is pretty much wanting more than there must be more than this provincial life.
Yeah.
She's kind of belling it out right now. And she just wants to be... Or Rapunzel.
Or Ariel.
Pretty much.
She's like a Disney princess.
She's Disney princessing this
with a mental illness.
Yeah, she does, yes. And so she just, wants more than this life that she's been given. It's tough taking care of your parents. Well, not taking care of both of her parents.
She's stuck taking care of her dad. She can't really do anything else because her mom makes her feel bad.
Yeah, her mom is like your textbook, like horrible... emotionally abusive, guilt tripping, gaslighting mom, and she obviously. So Pearl, we kick off the movie with her actually like pretending like she's in a movie and she's dancing, and she has this big dream of like dancing in a troupe or whatever. But her mom obviously doesn't want that because she's got to stay on the farm and be a big help to the family and all of that. So. Something happens and Pearl has to go to the city, or I guess it's a town.
She has to go into town to get medicine for the dad.
Yeah, so she has to go to town to get medicine for the dad, and she rides her bike along the way, and she sneaks off to the movie theater. I don't know if movie was a word at this point.
To watch the pictures.
So she calls it the pictures, and there she meets this guy who, do you remember, I don't know if I watched it with you, but have you ever seen Hollywood?
No.
That's the one with Samara Weaving. Maybe I watched it alone.
Yeah, I don't think I would have remembered that.
But he's in that movie, or he's in that show, so I recognized him right off the bat. And so she meets this guy, and he is like, hey, if you ever want to come, we can watch a movie together, and, we'll do it for free and everything. And I think he symbolizes... So her husband, Pearl's husband, Howard, is away at war, and she doesn't get any letters from him or anything like that.
Well, she gets letters. She just hasn't in a while.
She hasn't in a while, yeah. And so I think this projectionist character, whose name I don't think we even...
She says, like... something Johnny, but I don't know if that was just like, how in the olden times they said, hey, Johnny boy. So I don't know if his name was Johnny or that she just said the word Johnny.
The synopsis doesn't give him a name, so I don't think he has a name. But for Pearl, he symbolizes like the life of A, someone who is not on a farm, and B, someone who's involved in show business. So, and that's obviously what she wants.
Well, I wouldn't say he's involved in show business.
Well,
he just runs a projector.
Yeah, but to her, that's like anything that's not on the farm and anything that has anything to do with like, you know, movies and stuff. She's really like enamored by it and stuff. And so I think the projectionist is actually like a little flirty with her, and it's not.
He's
like,
very flirty.
Yeah,
with
and
her.
it's not like she hides that she has a husband at home or at war.
No, he's very flirty with her.
He's very flirty with her, and she takes a liking to that. And on the way home from meeting with this projectionist, because she has to go home since she snuck out to watch a movie. On the way home, he gives her this little like piece of
one frame from the film she watched.
Yeah, one frame from the film that she watched for her to keep and obviously like treasure. But it like falls out of her pocket while she's riding her bike home, and she gets led into a cornfield where she encounters a scarecrow, and the scarecrow is not real. It's literally just on a pole. Basically, she starts.
She dances with it.
She dances with it. Yeah, I think she's fantasizing that it's the projectionist dude. And she basically
pretends to have sex
with it. And I think to climax. And yeah, I think for her, I think that it meant like sexual repression and stuff. I mean, you know, your husband's away at war for God knows how long, and you haven't, you know, been intimate in a really long time, and she's in a really vulnerable spot. So, you know,
she saw a hunky scarecrow.
The scarecrow was kind of...
No, it was kind of the ugliest scarecrow I've ever seen.
But it was kind
of
like...
It looked like it had a basketball for a head with two like pool balls shoved in the eyes, painted brown or something.
It must have been solid enough for her to,
it was,
you know, do her business with it.
It wasn't made of straw.
So, but yeah, so she actually like throws it down after she dances with it, because she's like, I'm married, like, because she's pretending that it's the projectionist. She's like, I'm married, but then she ends up like giving in to this really seductive scarecrow.
She's a little... Well, one thing we forgot to mention at the beginning, when she's taking care of the animals, a goose wanders in, she stabs it with a pitchfork.
Oh yeah, so like apparently she does that all the time.
She likes to kill animals. And she feeds it to the alligator from X.
Yeah, there is an alligator. It's the same alligator from X. So there's a lot of elements in this movie that harken back to stuff in X. So like, you know, some of the lines of dialogue. At one point, there's a literal X on the floor, and it's just, yeah, I'd say the two movies really complement each other, and you know they're supposed to, so it's really,
yeah,
it's effective, it's good. So we move on, and she sneaks out of the house at night when she gets home. And I don't know if this is a few days later or like the same day.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell what the time is.
It's basically the same time.
Yeah, but it's not too long from when she first met the projectionist. I believe before she sneaks out though that she has kind of not a fight, but you know, some tension at the dinner table with her mom. Mm-hmm. And you know, the whole time Pearl is being very much like a teenage girl, wanting more and talking back to her mom and all this stuff, while her mom is like, you have to be responsible. You don't have, you know, you shouldn't dream because this is our life and you should be grateful and whatnot. Just things that I'm sure many, many girls who are now women have heard from their mom. Once or twice, or multiple times.
Lots of Disney princess things.
Yeah, lots of it's kind of a demented fairy tale if you think about it that way. So anyway, Pearl sneaks out, and she basically she sneaks out to see the projectionist, and the projectionist shows her they call it a stag movie, but it's a porno. It's an old-timey porno, and apparently it's like an authentic vintage scene. Like that's a real, they didn't get like actors from now to do it. Probably some archived porno. Some
French porno from 1915 yes. or something.
Yeah, and so the projectionist tells her it's something he got from Europe, And they have this like heart to heart where he tells her, you know, to pursue her dreams, and she doesn't have to live her life for other people, for taking care of other people.
Yeah.
She goes home because she kind of feels a little bit like she's tempted by him, and then she goes home. And the next day, we're introduced to a couple of new characters. More so one. We're introduced to Pearl's sister-in-law, Mitzi.
Howard's sister.
Howard's sister.
And Howard's mom comes by, but we don't really...
Yeah, we don't really see Howard's mom. And they check up on Pearl and her family because they're all alone and isolated on this farm. And they drop off a roasted pig that never gets eaten.
Because the mom doesn't... She's like, no, we don't need your pig.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need your pig.
We have food here. We don't need your pig.
And Mitzi tells her... Mitzi... Okay, let's talk a little bit about Mitzi. Mitzi is like this blonde girl. Can you describe Mitzi a little bit, appearance-wise?
She's blonde. She's like a normal looking...
Well, she's Richie Rich.
Yeah, well, I don't know if she's Richie Rich, but she's got... Her clothes look like fancier. They're not very farmy. They're like... Yeah. She's a city folk.
She's a city folk. And so she comes down and visits Pearl, and she tells Pearl, without, you know, her mother's off to the side, she tells Pearl the secret that there is going to be a dance audition to join a dance troupe sometime, I think on Saturday. And they decide to go together. But that doesn't happen yet. They don't go yet. So we're back at dinner, and Ruth, Pearl's mom, drops something on the table, and it's a pamphlet from the movie that Pearl snuck out to see. And they start this really crazy argument that, again, if you have ever been a teenage girl at one point in your life, wanting to do something that your mom doesn't want you to do, you'll relate a lot to their conversation, because Pearl is basically like, you know, saying, I want to try out for this. Like, I want to see if I have the chops. And her mom is like,
no, you suck. You can't do it. You're going to fail.
Yeah. Well,
you have everything great here. Is this not good enough? You think you're better than me?
Basically, yes. And it's like Pearl, the whole crux of their, you know, argument here is like Pearl doesn't want to end up like her mom. Because her mom...
And she says that.
Yeah, and she does say that. Because her mom, you know, she's stuck at the farm. She's taking care of her husband, who can no longer provide for her. And I feel like as anti-feminist as it is, I think every woman wants some luxury of knowing that, you know, they're provided for and cared for. Because it's, you know... And also they want to probably feel beautiful and loved. Because, you know, that's a part of femininity, and you don't necessarily get that when you're taking care of your husband who is sick, and you know, you don't, that's something that he can control if he's sick, obviously. But I would imagine that Ruth, you know, Pearl's mom, feels kind of trapped in this situation.
She says it. She says, she says, I wanted to be his wife, but now I didn't want to be his mother.
Yeah, and I feel like that, you know, that says a lot about, like, how far you're willing to go for your partner. I mean, obviously it's till death do us part, but I could imagine you lose some of your identity as, I mean, this movie is trying to say that you do lose your, you know, sexual appeal, or even just your femininity in general when you get old, or B, when you get sick, or C, when you have to take care of somebody else, and that takes up so much of you that you can't enjoy your life. So, you know, Pearl is saying she doesn't want to end up like her mom because she wants to, you know, dream and whatever, be sexy, be beautiful, be loved, and she doesn't get that. She just basically, her mom hates her for some reason because, you know, her mom wants her to be responsible, but Pearl doesn't really want to be responsible. She wants to live her life. And I think that, you know, if it's like the way that I grew up. I wish that my mom had, because you know, there's this talk of like, be responsible and, you know, do stuff for the family, but also like, when do you as a person get to do what you want, and your desires are kind of translated to the person that it's affecting as like selfishness, you know, and especially in a family setting. I mean, I don't know how much freedom you had when you were a kid, but
Well, I had a ton. I could do whatever I wanted.
You had a ton because you were a boy.
Well, no, even Sarah could do whatever she wanted.
Oh. Well, but you know, depending on how you grew up, I mean, I love my mom. Don't get me wrong, but there were, you know, a lot of in any teenage mom and teenage girl dynamic, when you're growing up with a little bit of a stricter set of rules, I couldn't do everything I wanted, and it took a long time for me to understand that was coming from what my mom wanted was best for me. And it's funny because Ruth actually says, I only want what's best for this family.
Yeah, that's what moms always say.
And that's what moms always say. So it's like a really touching, and you know, that's the part of this movie that I liked, is the characters.
You thought it was touching when she said that?
Well, not touching.
No,
just
she was being evil.
She was being evil because it was more like, I'm manipulating you to. I guess where I'm coming from is how it can be it can be communicated in a healthy way.
I don't think could have been, because I don't think it was in a healthy way. I think she was like, I want what's best for you because this is what I think was best for you. So I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah. Well, some moms have less redeemable qualities, but my mom was not like that. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, there's a lot of potentially relatable material here between a mom and a daughter. And obviously the movie Pearl takes it into the extreme where it's super oppressive, and the character Pearl is already not mentally stable. So I shouldn't say that. Well,
she's not.
You know, she's not mentally healthy. So when you have like your mental instability on top of, you know, this oppression, on top of feeling unloved and like you don't have your partner's support there's just a lot of things going on with Pearl. And I think that a lot of modern women can relate to that. As I was talking about on the way home, I was like, you know, I don't live Pearl's life, but there are some things that I can understand as like a woman, you know, when you have like a set of dreams, and then you have practical stuff, and you kind of have to find a balance here. You can't just be hedonistic and do whatever you want, because A, it's selfish, and B, you have to kind of think of other people. But also on the other side, it's like, well, why do I have to think about other people? Why can't I just do whatever I want? You know, and you don't get to, as a man, you don't get to feel any of that. You could just do what you want.
I really could do whatever I wanted.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
then the mom during the fight. The mom gets up and she
slaps the shit out of Pearl, because what Pearl says to like really, because the whole time the mom is like, you think you're better than us because you want to have dreams and all that, and it's a really intense scene. And so Pearl is like, well, I just don't want to end up like you. And I think the way she says it, I don't know if she was trying to be mean about it. She was trying to be honest about it.
Yeah, she didn't say like, I want to be better than you. She's like, I just don't want to. Or what did she ever?
She sounded really sad and like empathetic about it.
I just don't want to end up like you.
Yeah, and so that's really the nail on the coffin for the mom. Mom gets up, slaps,
and then Pearl slaps back.
And
then mom gives another slap right back, and then they start fighting, pushing.
And the dad in the wheelchair is just like watching it.
Yeah, happen. The dad's just watching in fear because he can't do anything. He's like barely conscious.
Yeah,
he's like conscious enough to know what's happening, but like
I don't think he can feel pain because Pearl's like messing with him.
Oh yeah, she like pinched him once to see if he could, and she was like choking him to see if he. So
nothing there.
But then like Pearl pushes her mom against the fireplace. Her dress catches on fire, and then bam, her whole body's on fire in like half a second. It was pretty quick.
Yeah, like Pearl's mom was like totally engulfed in flames. I don't know how it happened.
I don't know how flame retardant clothes were in the 19 teens.
Probably not very.
Because she was in flames.
I was worried that they were going to set the whole house on fire.
Well, then, and then Pearl's mom falls on the floor. She's like, on fire on the floor. She's like, stop,
did
drop.
Did they have stop, drop, and roll back
I was going to say,
then?
she stopped, dropped, and didn't roll. She just stopped and dropped. And Pearl's like, oh shit, she's on fire. So she grabs a pot. She grabs a pot of water and pours it on her mom. Okay.
Pot, water, and
it's
corn.
a boiling pot of corn.
I don't know if it was boiling.
Well,
though. I can't remember.
I couldn't know if it was. I just remember she tossed it on her and there's like corn in it. So I whisper, I'm like, was that boiling water?
And I was like, I don't know.
Because I mean, like at this point, like the mom's like dead. No, she's not dead yet.
But she's about to be.
Because then Pearl throws her in the basement.
Yeah, and Pearl throws her in the basement. She doesn't really do anything with the dad. She just runs away.
She wheels him to the living room. No, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't. She just leaves him there.
She's just like, sorry, Dad, and then runs out.
Yeah, and she runs out and she rides her bike, and it's a stormy, stormy night. She rides her bike back to the projectionist, and that's when they have sex.
Yeah, that's when.
Yeah, and I believe this is Saturday.
This is Friday night.
Okay, yeah, but the next day is Saturday.
Because when she wakes up, she's like, I gotta go practice. Because she's like, oh shit, I gotta practice for my dance.
Yes, she's got to practice for her dance. And her dance audition, I should say. And so he drives her home to the farm so she can get ready for the audition. And he's kind of sussed out by a lot of stuff.
Well, first she says, wait inside. And so he's standing outside. He sees the pig that Howard's mom left is still on the porch, and it's like covered in maggots.
Which is kind of fast, but I guess, I don't know. I've never left anything else.
Yeah, I haven't left a full roasted pig. It's like a piglet. It's like small. It's like a roasted piglet just sitting on the... I don't know how...
Yeah.
I've never done that before, so...
Maybe we should do it.
But then she goes in, she fixes up her dad, makes him look presentable. She cleans...
Gives him some medicine.
She cleans up the kitchen.
And
she cleans up the house.
And here's what I thought was interesting, is because you could see as she was giving her dad the medicine, she was apologizing, and it was sort of like she realized what she had done and was super regretful of it. And I wonder if... I think for her, well, the way that I watched it was like, okay, your dreams, like, they happened, but now you have to go back to reality. Like, your Cinderella, like, your pumpkin's or your carriage is a pumpkin now, and you kind of have to go back to this reality, and you do get hit with that responsibility of, like, well, my dad's not dead, so I still have to take care of him. Like,
yeah, she likes her dad.
I still have to give him, like, medicine and stuff. And so she takes care of her dad a little bit, and then she calls for the projectionist to come in.
First she then she, like, throws the mom down the stairs some more.
Yeah, she does. She does throw the mom downstairs some more. And then she's locked in a cellar.
Yeah, she's locked in the basement. And then she gets the projectionist inside, brings him up to her room, and she wants to get all freaky. But then there's a noise coming from the basement.
It's like a thumping.
Like a thumping. And so the projectionist is like, what's that? And she's like, nothing. She's like trying to do whatever. And he's like, we really should like figure out what that is. And then
she's like, it's a dog.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's just my dog down there. No, she doesn't say that yet.
Oh,
then
she says it eventually.
Then it gets louder. And then he's like, okay. He pushes her off and he's like, okay, we gotta go figure out what the hell that is. Because, it's distracting him. So then he's like looking around.
Sees the corn.
Sees the corn on the floor. So he's like...
sussed out.
Yeah. But then she like appears behind him and she's like, it's my dog.
Yeah.
My dog's in the cellar. He made a mess. So I put him down there.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Sounds believable.
It's believable, yeah. And so Pearl brings him to the barn at this point, and she introduces him to all of her animals and all of that. And she's like, she is kind of having a manic episode here. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say that, but she's acting like really like overly happy and like nothing is, wrong. And she's trying to put up a front to the projectionist like she didn't just kill her mom. And so she's like, acting really like, I don't know, as a dude, would that have sussed you out the way that she was acting?
Yeah, no one's that happy.
Yeah, she was very happy and just very, like, excited. She wanted to go to Europe with him and all of this, like, head in the clouds type stuff.
But then she's talking about all the names of the animals.
Yes.
And then he's like, what's the name of your dog? And then she fucks up and says, oh, we don't have a dog.
Yeah, I'm like, dude.
Like, she just lied about that, like, a minute ago. How do you forget?
And this is, I think, the second time that we start to get the idea that Pearl is not mentally healthy, because the night of her mom and hers argument, her mom is saying, like, there's something malevolent in you, Pearl. Like, you don't think we see, like, you know, that you're she's basically saying you're sick, like you're mentally sick. And we kind of get that feeling, but now as she's talking with the projectionist, like, it's very clearly obvious that Pearl is...
If it wasn't clear when she stabbed a pitchfork through a goose for walking into the barn at the very beginning.
She's very mentally unhealthy. And so she starts to freak out because the projectionist is like, all right, well, I gotta go.
Yeah, like, when he realizes she's being weird, he's like, oh, he looks at his watch. I should be getting back. Like, you know, like, yeah, let me get out of here.
Yeah, and it kind of is like, he's visibly like, okay, I gotta go. And I just felt for him because I was like, you probably should have been a little bit more gentle with that.
Well, and then he starts walking back to his car, and if you think someone's crazy, you're not. He's like walking slow. Like, he's like moseying onto his
gallivanting.
car. Yeah, he gets inside, blah blah blah, and then she's like there with a pitchfork.
Yeah, she stabs him
through the chest,
and she's screaming. At this point, she's like screaming like a banshee. She's like, nobody's gonna tell me what I can and can't be. Like, you know, I'm gonna get out of this farm one way or another. She's like frantically screaming, and she pushes him. She pushes his car with him still in it, like obviously dying, into the pond, and then the alligator eats him.
Yep. So he's bye-bye.
Yeah. So he's bye-bye. And she gets dressed up in a really nice red gown, very prairie, very Target. And she goes to
her audition.
Oh no, she doesn't go to her audition because she kills her dad.
She kills her dad here?
She smothers her dad.
So she smothers her dad with a pillowcase.
Yeah.
She was going to kill him earlier. She was going to feed him to the alligator earlier.
But then her mom.
Because he was kind of suffering. He was living a terrible life.
Yeah, she was like, this is no way for anyone to live. And she was actually really nice to him. She was like, thank you for everything that you did. Like, I love you. You were loved. And I think that if, you know, somebody just told Pearl that they loved her, I think Pearl would be an angel. I think that's all Pearl wanted, was to be loved. So, yeah, she smothers her dad, and then she heads off to this audition, and Mitzi is there. And, you know, one by one, you see these girls auditioning, and they are not getting the part.
Because there's only one part.
Yes, there's only one part. And so it's time for Pearl to audition. And she gets up there, and she's actually not that bad of a dancer. I didn't know what was wrong.
They just weren't looking. They said they were looking for someone more all-American. They wanted just a blonde girl.
Yeah, what the hell does that mean? She's like Hannah Montana.
They want the picture of an American girl, like a young blonde woman.
Yeah,
and she's just not a blonde woman.
Yeah, she's brunette, and that's really the only thing making her un-American. I guess she's German.
Yeah, there was no, that's not it. It's just that she just wasn't what they wanted look-wise.
Yeah.
But she was doing her dance. She was like feeling herself, and there was like that weird like American like the war background, like the trenches.
Oh, that was just what was happening in her head. That was what she was imagining the show to be.
Yeah, that's just really weird. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I think the movie plays on. That's just a play on like how mentally unstable she is. That she dreams all this stuff, and a lot of it is like, you know, in her head. And she thinks she does a great job, and I'm sure that she did. But poor Pearl does not get the audition, and she cries and cries and cries, and she's like almost starting a scene with the casting people. And then we cut to her outside of the place that she's auditioning at, scream crying,
like loudly.
sobbing, like like she had just lost someone very close to her, or is in like extreme
Like her
pain.
legs are being twisted off her body.
Yeah,
It was
and
crazy.
this is where I feel like Mia Goth is she's what makes the movie and somewhat enjoyable for like very enjoyable actually, because she plays the character really, really well. You know, Pearl is not, the whole movie is about Pearl, and so it helps that Mia Goth is a really great actress, because if she was boring or like, you know, really one-dimensional with the character, then it wouldn't have worked. Because I feel like you can kind of tell when an actor doesn't know how to play someone who's, you know, mentally unhealthy, that it reads off really cheesy and like kind of, you know, funny. But for Pearl, I felt really bad for her. But so Mitzi. Oh, and then they're at home. So Mitzi doesn't, at this point, Mitzi doesn't know, like, Pearl has done a really good job at like hiding everything that happened. You know, the house is clean. And
Except for the pig is still out there.
oh yeah, the pig is still out there.
And Mitzi's like, is that my pig?
Yeah, so that's
Or is that our pig?
yeah. And so Mitzi and Pearl talk at the table, and Mitzi is being a really good sister-in-law and, you know, asking her what's going on because she can sense that something is wrong. And Mitzi is like, well, I want you to pretend like I'm Howard and just, you know, tell me everything that you've been feeling and everything like that. And so Pearl goes on this probably 5 to 10 minute monologue.
Oh, it was long.
It was long for you. Yeah, I do agree that it was a little bit dragged out, but I think it was accurate. Like it portrayed, you know, mental unwellness and also just having a breakdown
Yeah.
very well. Because I only thought about when I'm very, very upset and you're there. All I do is like cry and like talk nonstop because you just kind of have to let it all out.
Yeah, but she was like, at first I was like, okay, but I kept just like being like, okay, now they're gonna turn to Mitzi.
It was so.
Now they're gonna, but when it just wasn't. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's a really long shot of Mia Goth, and there's no cuts in it whatsoever.
gotta
At
be
least,
like 10
I
minutes.
don't think so.
it's at least 5 minutes long.
Yeah, and Mia Goth is like
there was no cuts.
she's like acting her heart out, and she's, you know, explaining about all these things about. Well, she confesses that she, you know, cheated on Howard, and she talks about how she met Howard. Like, apparently Howard was a farmhand, but he could always go home to this city, and so he wanted to be on the farm, which is obviously not what Pearl wants.
She wanted to marry him because she said it was his ticket to get. It was her ticket to get out of there because then she could leave with him to wherever he wanted to go. But
Yeah.
he wanted to stay on the farm because that's what he liked to do. So she was like, "What the fuck? Why?"
Well, and yeah, and it's basically like you're bound to whatever your husband wants, because I'm sure in 1918 women couldn't really speak up for what they
They
wanted.
couldn't even vote. I don't think in 1918.
Yeah, so
I think that was 1919 or something.
she goes into this really powerful monologue about all the sacrifices she's made for Howard, and it, you know, how sucky it must feel because he's not even there to, like, you know, make her feel good about the sacrifices that, you know, every couple makes sacrifices, but you just make each other feel better about it. And he's not even there. He's away at war. So it's like, what's she doing all this for? And she starts talking about, like, her... she starts talking a little bit about how there's something in her that no one else has, and or something missing from her that everyone else has. And I think, you know, she's alluding to being sick, mentally sick. And, you know, you don't hear anything from Mitzi. She's just kind of, like, taking it all in.
And then she starts confessing to all the murders. She's
Yeah.
like, I've done some things, some murderous things.
Yeah, and
okay.
she was like, at first it was just the animals because, you know, they can't hurt me back. But then I killed Mom and I killed Dad and the projectionist. I don't even think she names him. But it's like, she's like, it started to feel good because they hurt me, so I hurt them back. And, you know, some more monologue happens. We won't spoil the whole thing because I liked the monologue.
It was good. It was just long.
It was long,
It was
yeah.
just probably a little bit longer than it needed to be.
And so we finally cut to Mitzi, and she's
like,
bless her heart.
She's like, well.
Yes.
I think she was like, I should get going.
Yeah.
Just like the projection. She's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, and but Pearl, I think, is a little bit gentler with her. Like I at first I was like, okay, Pearl is probably gonna let her live.
Well,
because Mitzi seemed like she empathized with her the most, so I thought Pearl would spare her.
I knew Pearl wanted to kill her because then she was like, it's okay that you got the part, and then but Mitzi's like,
no, I didn't.
I didn't get the part because Mitzi didn't get the part.
Mitzi didn't?
No, she's like, I didn't get the part.
I thought she did get the part.
It was never said that she got the part. She was like, I didn't get the part. She's like, you don't have to lie. She's like, but she's like, I'm not lying. I didn't get the parts. So then eventually, she obviously she's scared of Pearl. So she's like, I hope you can come see the show. And Pearl's like, you always get what you want.
And she has this like face. What I loved about this scene was Pearl has this face where it's like jealousy. Like you can visibly see jealousy. Like the kind of face that you just gave me. It's like, yeah, it's that kind of face where it's like, fuck you. I can't believe it.
Yeah, but Pearl made her.
But Pearl made her say that stuff.
Just so she could be mad.
Yeah, and it's, I would hope that it's a really realistic depiction of how someone is when they're mentally unwell. I don't know what you could diagnose Pearl with at the time, but so Mitzi's like, okay, I gotta go. And then she is like, she's just walking out of the house again, and then she stops at the porch because she hears Pearl behind her.
Pearl
grabs an axe.
Yeah, she grabs an axe.
And that's when Mitzi starts to panic and do the lamest run I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, she's not afraid for her life at all.
She's like running, and then she trips because she's wearing heels.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Pearl hits her with an axe a couple times.
Yeah.
And then she keeps going after taking some axes to the head. So
what the hell, Mitzi?
Mitzi's pretty strong. She's a tank. But then eventually Pearl kills her.
Yeah. And she chops off some parts of her that she feeds to the alligator.
Well, then she starts chopping her body up.
Yeah.
And then is she chopping up another body at this point?
I don't know.
I thought she was chopping up another body.
She's fixing at this point. There's a little montage where it shows her fixing her mom and dad to sit at the table.
Yeah, so their dead bodies are like at the table. The maggot covered pig
is at the table, and everything's growing mold and stuff.
Even like the tea has mold in it or something. Really
weird. And Pearl at this point is like convinced that she can fix things. She's like so into her delusion that she can fix everything and have everything be perfect and have everything be just the way it was when Harold left, because I think she's still Howard, because I think she's still hanging on to Howard loving her and all that, and everything being just dandy when he gets home. So Howard does come home. He finally comes home.
They got the military truck comes by, drops him off, says home sweet home. He walks in, he's like, Pearl? He's like so happy, he's like pumped. He's like, I get to see her. But then it's really quiet.
Yeah, and then he walks into the dining room, and then he sees the corpses of Pearl's mom and dad there, the disgusting pig, all the molded over food, and he's horrified.
Yeah.
And then Pearl goes, oh, Howard, I'm so happy you're home. And then you see Mia Goth like smile so big. It's kind of cute. She like smiles like a crazy person because she's got a really happy smile, but her eyes and her eyebrows are like kind of, they're pained, and it looks like a forced smile. And then
the smile, because the credits are rolling over the smile.
Yeah, it progressively gets worse, and then the credits hit.
No, the credits are hitting, and the credits are rolling.
Oh,
like throughout, I'd say 95% of the credits, you're seeing her smiling.
Yeah, and the smile just gets worse and worse.
And she's
crying, and
it's like a 5-minute nonstop smile.
Yeah, it's. I'm telling you, like Mia Goth was really such a highlight of this movie. She acted her heart out in this movie, and you could see. I really feel for Pearl. I just do. I really liked her character. But would I watch the movie again? I'd probably watch the movie again. But there's something in it was just missing for me. I don't know. I don't know if it was the lack of kill, because there's almost, I mean, there's a few kills, but they're not shown. It's not super gory. It was just missing something. I don't know what, but it was missing something.
Yeah, it was like there's all this stuff there, but then it's just like you can have all this stuff, but you really just gotta like it just doesn't have that oomph.
It doesn't have an oomph, no, because it's hard to explain.
And like there was no oomph, so like since I didn't care about any of it, it was just like there was nothing to pull me in.
Yeah, I wonder if it was because her mom died too early in the beginning.
No,
I don't know.
maybe. Yeah, because it was like that was like halfway. It wasn't even like an epic fight. It was like there was a couple slaps, some shoving, then the fire. So it was like really quick. There wasn't really like. It didn't really feel like there was too much of a climax.
No, it didn't hit home because, I mean, like, I feel like it would have been better if there was more and more built up. The movie, as long as it is, it's 102 minutes. But I just feel like the tension between the mom and Pearl could have been built up a lot more, so that I cared more about the mom dying.
Well, there's a lot of build. I feel like the first half of the movie is like a build up.
Yeah.
But there's just like nothing. Like after the mom dies, there's like nothing left.
There's nothing left for us to be nervous about for Pearl, because she basically can do whatever she wants now.
Like she kills the projectionist, but like no one's there to see it because the dad's in the is he dead at that point?
No.
He's just like sitting in the living room.
He probably hears it.
Yeah, he can hear it, but like he can't do anything about it. So it's just like, okay, she's gonna kill him. Like nothing's gonna happen. Like Mitzi, like she's gonna kill her. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but I would say watching this and remembering what I remembered about X, I'd say the themes there are really strong. Like you have, being old versus being young, and what is taken away from you when you're old, and you lose your sexual appeal and your identity.
Yeah, they hit all that home pretty hard.
The themes there are strong, and it's a substantial movie, and it's shot really nicely. Like I liked the old timey aesthetic of it, but something was missing. There was nothing. It just lacked the oomph to make me say, but
ooh. It's
still worth a watch. Like if you've seen X, you should just go see it. And at this point, we're probably going to go see the third movie just because, we want to see what happens.
Even though I didn't like the first two, I'll still see it.
Yeah, because I can appreciate that the director, Ty West, is doing something that is different. I can always appreciate when a horror director has originality. Maybe not originality, but like has a sense of style and is just doing something and doing it really well, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, A24 always has those movies that are a hit or miss for you. And for me too. And I would say this one, it's not a hit, it's not a miss, it's just somewhere in between. Yeah, it's to the left of the bullseye, I'd say. It
was a miss for me. It just okay, I didn't relate to any characters. There was no excitement to it just wasn't.
No, I could tell because during the movie you didn't really have a reaction to anything.
I think I reacted most to her dumping the boiling water.
Yeah, that was funny.
The corn water part was what stuck. That's after watching the movie, the pot of corn water is what stuck with me.
Because there wasn't even an epic kill. Like Pearl is a tiny little girl, and she was able to.
She stabs the dude with the pitchfork, then he bleeds out.
I guess she has the element of surprise, but
Mitzi, she just hits with an axe, and then the mom just kind of catches on fire.
Yeah, Pearl is she's got the plot armor, and she's strong just because she's strong. And I wish there was maybe more struggle.
There's never a moment where she would lose. Against the mom, it's woman against woman. The mom is older, so she could reasonably a 20-something-year-old girl could reasonably beat their mom in a fight. That's not weird. And then the guy, he's sitting in a car, he can't move, and she stabs him. And then Mitzi runs at 3 miles per hour.
Yeah, so maybe Pearl having too much of the advantage kind of ruined a little bit like I wish there was maybe more struggle because Pearl physically can subdue anyone in this movie, and maybe it would have been more interesting if she got in a roll around with her mom or Mitzi even and got hurt, but
no, it was
Pearl left clean. She was not harmed at all.
She never got hit once.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, that's our episode. There's a lot of horror movies coming out in the theater because it's about to be October. That's my favorite. We don't know what we're going to cover for the next couple of weeks because nothing in the movies looks interesting for us. We're probably going to do Halloween Ends.
We'll do Halloween Ends for sure.
But upcoming is like Smile, and that's, I don't know. And Don't Pray with the Devil or something like that.
I don't even know what that is. I haven't even seen something.
You saw it and you're like, that doesn't look good.
Oh, yeah, I saw the poster.
Pray With Us or whatever it's called.
I saw the poster and I was like,
yeah.
It's at the point where if I see devil in the name, I lose interest.
Yeah, so, yeah, thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Adios.